This would be part three from The Monkey's Paw. It was about a week after that the old man, waking suddenly in the night, stretched out his hand and found himself alone. The room was in darkness, and the sound of subdued weeping came from the window. He raised himself in bed and listened. Come back, he said tenderly. You will be cold. It is colder for my son, said the old woman and wept afresh. The sounds of her sob died away in his ears, and the bed was warm, his eyes heavy with sleep. He dozed fitfully and then slept until a sudden wild cry from his wife awoke him with a start. The paw, she cried wildly. The monkey's paw. He started up in alarm. Where? Where is it? What's the matter? She came stumbling across the room toward him. I want it, she said quietly. You've not destroyed it? It it is in the parlor, on the bracket, he replied, marveling. Why? She cried and laughed altogether and, bending over, kissed his cheek. I've only just thought of it, she said hysterically. Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't you think of it? Think of what? He questioned. The other two wishes, she replied rapidly. We only had one. Was that not enough? He demanded fiercely. No, she cried triumphantly. We'll have one more. Go get it and get it quickly and wish our boy alive again. The man sat in bed and flung the bedclothes from his quaking limbs. Good God, you are mad, he cried aghast. Get it, she panted. Get it quickly and wish. Oh, my boy. Her husband struck a match and lit the candle. Get back to bed, he said unsteadily. You don't know what you're saying. We had the first wish granted, said the old woman feverishly. Why not the second? A, a coincidence? Stammered the old man. Go get it and wish, cried his wife, quivering with excitement. The old man turned and regarded her, and his voice shook. He has been dead 10 days, for God's sake. And besides, I would not tell you else, but I could only recognize him by his clothing. If he was too terrible for you to see then, how now? Bring him back, cried the old woman and dragged him toward the door. Do you think I fear the child that I have nursed? So he went down in darkness and felt his way to the parlor, and then to the mantelpiece. The talisman was in its place, and the horrible fear that the unspoken wish might bring his mutilated son before him where he could escape from the room seized up upon him. And he caught his breath as he found that he had lost the direction of the door. Even his wife's face seemed to change as he entered the room. It was white and expectant, and to his fear seemed to have an unnatural look upon it. He was afraid of her. Wish, she cried in a strong voice. It is foolish and wicked, he faltered. Wish, repeated his wife. He raised his hand. I wish my son alive again. The talisman fell on the floor, and he regarded it fearfully. Then he sank, trembling, into a chair as the old woman with burning eyes walked to the window and raised the blind. He sat until he was chilled with the cold, glancing occasionally at the figure of the old woman peering through the window. The candle lane, which had burned below the rim of the china candlestick, was throwing pulsating shadows on the ceilings and the walls. With the flicker larger than the rest, it expired. The old man, with an unspeakable sense of relief at the failure of the talisman, crept back to his bed. Neither spoke, but lay silently, listening to the ticking of the clock. A stair creaked, and a squeaking mouse scurried noisily through the wall. The darkness was oppressive, And after lying for some time, screwing up his courage, he took the box of matches and striking one, went downstairs for a candle. At the foot of the stairs, the match went out, and he paused to strike another. And at the same moment, a knock came, so quiet and stealthy as to be scarcely audible, sounded on the front door. "What's that?" cried the old woman, starting up. "A, a rat?" said the old man in shaking tones. "A, a rat. It passed me on the stairs." His wife sat up in bed listening. A loud knock resounded through the house. "It's Herbert!" She ran to the door, and her husband was before her, catching her by the arm, and held her tightly. "What are you going to do?" he whispered hoarsely. "It's my boy, it's Herbert!" she cried, struggling mechanically. "I forgot I was 2 miles away. What are you holding me for? Let go, I must open the door." "For God's sake, do not let him in," cried the old man, trembling. "You are afraid of your own son," she cried, struggling. "Let me go. I'm coming, Herbert. I'm coming." There was another knock and another. The old woman with a sudden wrench broke free and ran for the room. Her husband followed to the landing and called after her appealingly as she hurried downstairs. She heard the chain rattle crack and the bolt drawn slowly and stiffly from the socket. Then the old woman's voice, strained and panting. "The bolt!" she cried loudly. "Come down! I can't reach it!" But her husband was on his hands and knees, groping wildly on the floor in search of the paw. If only he could find it before the thing outside got in. He heard the creaking of the bolt, and at the same moment he found the monkey's paw and frantically breathed his third and last wish. Thank you.